Yes, guys. We are back on your screens again for a Transfer Tuesday episode. Darwin Nunez signs for Liverpool for a record fee with add-ons. We'll give you everything on the other side of this. Roll that in.
Tell the world we are Liverpool, champions of England.
We've conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Palestine to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. But Paisley and the Shankly, the fields of Anfield gold. We are all supporters, and we come from Liverpool.
Yes, guys. We're back on your screens for another episode of Transfer Tuesday. It does seem really weird to be doing a Transfer Tuesday show in June.
It does.
We don't normally do these until much later, but the transfer window is open officially, and Liverpool have been very, very, very active. We kicked off procedures with the Fabio Carvalho signing, the long touted waited arrival of the teenager. One that we were supposed to get over the line in January, and it kind of stalled. Various different reasons as to why it didn't happen in January, why it didn't, and whatever not. Paperwork apparently being the issue. But we go again. Darwin Nunez, and look, I'll be very open. This is a very unlike Liverpool signing. It's not something we've done before. Yeah, people will sit there and say, "Oh, Virgil van Dijk." Virgil van Dijk was the finished article. We brought a Premier League proven player, £75 million, Premier League proven. Yeah, people will point to Alisson Becker. Alisson Becker, even when at Roma, was one
best
of the best in the world at that time. Neuer was doing his thing, Ter Stegen was doing his thing, and Alisson was quietly going about his business at Roma. Yeah, racking up clean sheets and playing like Pele in gloves. So, we went and got, a proven player. Fabinho, another one as well. Decent acquisition. But, when the fee was touted, I thought smokescreen. And I'll be honest, Liverpool have made a habit of doing this, of going about our business very quietly. We don't necessarily conduct transfer business in the open, and this was very, very open from the start. We made our intent known, in all the major media outlets. So this to me didn't seem like it was possible. And then boom, here he is, Liverpool shirt. So, I'll be honest, my money was on a Rafinha and potential Phillips. We know the surgery that's needed in midfield. We know that we need some cover out on that right-hand side as well. I just think that Liverpool's hand was forced very much in the same way that the hand was forced with Diaz, with Mane strolling in going, right, guys, I've had enough now. Fancy a move to Bavaria. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about it? And Liverpool went, well, we're gonna have to sign someone, aren't we? So, I don't think it's reactionary. I think it's right player, right time. So it makes sense. But as I said, I tweeted out that it potentially is a smoke screen. I'm not sat here saying I'm a transfer guru. Sometimes, I get things wrong, but there's been many times where I've got things right. So
absolutely,
we keep it moving.
No, agreed. I mean, like you say, Julian Ward has come in and blimey, announced himself. He's got a very good background in the Portuguese and Spanish market. Julian Ward, he spent a lot of time over there as a scout. He was a Manchester City scout, believe it or not, for that area as well. And yeah, he's had a very good knowledge of that kind of area for quite some time. Obviously as well, he's quite good in the South American market as well. So the first two major signings that he's done are South American and in the Premier League. So there's no coincidence there. I think a lot of Liverpool's recruitment now is very much based on stats and
just quickly. I want to collect my flowers on something.
Go on.
Because people are saying, Oh, Julian Ward, this, and I did say doing my homework, I said he's not afraid. I said there will be a slight change in how we do things. And again, you can go back and check it. You can check
Yeah.
the videos. This man is not afraid to splash the cash. Yeah. Boom. Luis Diaz. Boom.
And that's
then
the
Darwin
thing.
Nunez. Boom.
You have to sometimes you do have to actually just flex your muscles, and you don't necessarily have to go 100 million per position. But if the right person comes up at the right time, the right age, and you've got the money in the bank, then why not use it? We were just speaking just before we went live that this is an initial 60 odd million quid, but if Mane goes out the door for 40 and Minamino goes for 17, we're pretty much there already. So Liverpool are still quite clever in the market. You look at teams like Man United. They've not really recouped any money for anybody that's left within the last few years. Pogba left for free twice. You look at the list this year: Cavani, Mata, Matic. There's all the players that seem to leave that team don't go on for any kind of fee. But Liverpool, whether it's Ryan Brewster or Minamino, we're going to speak about Chamberlain as well. You still feel that there's a decent fee coming in, which if we just use it again in the right way, Harry Wilson and the like have come with decent money in for them as well. So yeah, I think Julian Ward, like you say, is a little bit more gung ho than Edwards. I think he's a little bit more. He knows what he wants and he goes and gets it, and he's very quick. You made a good point that it's been a bit more public. For example, the Fabinho signing was out the blue. Suddenly he's there standing holding the shirt, but this one has rumbled on a little bit. I think mainly because Man United seem to do their dirty laundry in public, and because they were so much linked to the same player, I think that's why it was probably a little bit more public than it was. But Liverpool made it very clear at the start, didn't they, that they weren't going to get into a bidding war. And I think if you look at the two clubs where they are now, Darwin Núñez had a pretty easy decision to make, really.
Yeah, I agree. And it was being sort of rumoured that it was Liverpool and it always would be Liverpool. And you know what? I'll say as well, big up Terry from the Football Terrace. He put a video up on Twitter talking about signings, and people are very naive with signings right now to think that clubs don't have multiple targets. We can't sit here and say that if Darwin Núñez hadn't signed on a dotted line for us, that we wouldn't have another target. There's the backup to the backup to the backup. There's multiple targets that we look at. And the same as players. Players have got multiple clubs they're talking to. Yeah, he probably had terms signed with Manchester United just in case Liverpool said, do you know what?
Yeah, fees too much, etc.
Yeah, we're going elsewhere. And same as the club. They would have agreed a deal with Manchester United. They would have agreed that deal, right? They would have then agreed the deal with Liverpool and then said to Darwin Núñez, where do you want to go, mate? You pick, because we've satisfied what we need. Don't care where you go. The bank, the money's in the bank. Once a player, and there's very few clubs out there, very, very few clubs in world football that care where their players move on to. The Red Bull teams are an example. They have a big hand in where their players move on to. They're very instrumental in that. And they want their players to move to the clubs that fit correct and so on and so on. But other clubs, I don't give a damn. As soon as you turn around and say you want to go, let me help you pack your bags. Just make sure your fee's on the table, bruv. Yeah. It's very, very simple. But and look, we discussed this again before you come on air. When we're looking at this transfer, is it going to detract away from what we do in the market elsewhere? Liverpool fans have been crying out for a midfielder. Again, look, I'll say it again. I said it about 12 months ago. I said the midfield, and I thought it would be this season. Because at the back end of last, when we come off the defensive injury crisis, I said the midfield would be the next injury crisis, right? But we've managed to make it through this season relatively unscathed. But it's coming. These players, and we've got a World Cup, we've got a Winter World Cup.
Yep.
Yeah, coming up, where the likes of Thiago is going to be involved. Henderson's going to be there as well in the Winter World Cup.
Yeah, Trent.
Fabinho, Trent. If we're just
Jota.
focusing on Jota, if we're just focusing on the midfield, Hendo, Thiago, Fabinho, arguably our starting midfield.
Yeah,
all of those players are going to be participating in the Winter World Cup.
No, it's true. I mean, we look at the front five now. it's more likely now that Mane does move on. Now Diaz has come in. I did watch the Nunez has come in. Sorry, I did watch the LFC TV Go interview with him just now, and he mentions about the players he's going to play with and the competition for places in that front five, and he doesn't mention Mane. He mentions everybody else but Mane. So players aren't silly. Nunez has obviously spoke to Klopp and said, well, I'm playing every minute, every game, winning the league, and I'm in the Champions League quarterfinal with Benfica. I'm not coming to be fifth choice. I'm not coming to be sixth choice.
Yeah.
So, if Mane's staying, where do I fit in? So I would imagine that Klopp's probably said, you know what, mate, Sadio's off. If you look at the minutes he got that last season playing in that number 9, that's you. That's where you're going to be going. That's the minutes that you're going to be getting. Look at the goals that Mane scored, especially in the second half of the season. So, yeah, in terms of the front five, we're definitely stacked. We got 26 goals in 28 league games last season, 6 in 10 in the Champions League, including a couple against us and a couple that were ruled out for offside against us as well. So, he's very, very good. Jurgen Klopp likes him a lot. But yeah, I agree with you. I think if you look at the midfield, Liverpool are always, for me, one season too late to address a position. We looked at 2018, Karius let us down. We go and sign Alisson. If Alisson comes in a year before, I think we could go on and win that Champions League. You look at the centre backs or even the left back. We had Alberto Moreno and he was so rubbish. James Milner had to play there for a season, and then we had another year until we brought in Andy Robertson and brought him through. And then, like you said, the centre backs, went into a season with Van Dijk, Matip, and Gomez, and sold Lovren, albeit Lovren's crap, but he played a lot of games because we needed him because of availability of the others. And it was just a perfect storm, wasn't it? Van Dijk for the season, Matip for the season, and Gomez for the season. So I agree with you. I think you look at the midfield, Fabinho is definitely the one that's the immovable object. Henderson and Thiago definitely make up the holy trinity of the three, but they're another year older. They've both started to not really play 90 minutes. They're not playing 2 games a week anymore. And if we're in for all 4 trophies again next season, we're going to need some decent high quality rotation in that midfield, like we have in the front three. And we've mentioned over WhatsApp, etc. Is Curtis Jones, is Carvalho, is Elliott the kind of guys that are going to come in and get us over the line in these big games when the other 2 are potentially they could be injured in a Champions League semi-final. Can one of them players step up and give that kind of performance? They're young, they're good, they're up and coming, they're great players to have in the squad, but I think you're right. I think we need one more of that similar level at least, just to rotate.
I mean, look, and I said this before as well. Do we change formation? Do we change formation? Is it 4-2-3-1? Is it 4-2-3-1 out of possession? Yeah. Is it 4-2-4 in possession? What are we looking at here? Because something's got to give. This signing mean that we don't go out and get a midfielder? So then we have to change maybe the way that we play 4-2-4 while we're in possession, attacking. Back to the days of the front 4, the Fab 4 that it was named. Our namesake on some of our shows. Do we go back to that? 4-2, it said 4-2-3-1 out of possession with an anchor in midfield in terms of Fabinho and Thiago, Henderson coming in, picking up minutes in there as well. Milner's a year older as well. Naby's a year older. It strikes me as though we need to be active in that market. So we've discussed a few potential links and potential transfers, haven't we? And where we're currently at. So the midfield pursuit. Now, I'll let you take it away because I know who I want, and I am going to call you out on this, but I'll let you take it away to start with.
Yeah, when we've got a few options to talk through, haven't we? But there's a player that I didn't mention that you did, which was Naby Keita, who looks like he's going to be signing a new deal. He's only got a year left, and I think, I'm of the same opinion as you, but he seems to be Jurgen Klopp's first go-to when one of those Trinity 3 are not available. Whether that means if it's Fabinho, Henderson drops into the 6 and Keita comes into the 8, or Keita can, well, I say can play, but has played in place of Hendo or Thiago. But yeah, that reaction says it all, doesn't it? How many more years are we going to wait to see something from him?
I don't want a Naby bash. Yeah, I don't want a Naby bash, right? Because
Oh no.
my thing is right is it's like okay, it's like going to McDonald's. Yeah, it's like going to McDonald's, right? And you walk into McDonald's and you say, "Can I have a Big Mac, please?" And they say, "Yeah, we've got plenty of Big Macs." And when you open up the bag, you've got a Happy Meal with lettuce.
Yeah. It's a bit of a letdown, isn't it?
You've got a cheeseburger Happy Meal with lettuce. That's not what we brought. That's not what I paid for.
But you pre-ordered it as well a year in advance, and they still got it wrong.
That's what I'm saying. You went on the delivery. You went on the McDonald's app.
Yeah.
Because McDonald's have an app now. Other restaurants are available, but you went on the app. You prepaid it. Yeah, you knew what you were buying. You got there. Yeah, and it came with a standard regular meal with just lettuce. That is how I feel about Naby Keita. There is no other way of explaining my feelings on Naby. Yeah, and it's almost like, and then the thing is, right, is you've got in the car, you've not checked the meal before you've left. Yeah,
yeah, it's the worst.
You've got in the car and you're halfway home. Yeah, and then you think to yourself, let me just have a nibble while I'm on the way home, innit? Yeah, you know when you're fishing around in the bag and you're driving, you're fishing around in the bag.
Keep me going.
Yeah, let's have a bit of fries to keep you going. Yeah, so you get the fries out, you're eating. The suspense is building. Yeah, the mouth salivating because you're thinking, yes,
that Big Mac is coming.
This Big Mac is coming, boy. I'm gonna devour that. Yeah, which was like me in the summer. Yeah, I see the shirt release. Yeah, I see Gerrard handing my man the number 8. Right, I'm getting excited. I'm seeing comparisons to Kante. I'm seeing comparisons to all sorts with Naby Keita. Yeah, the same as, but the Big Mac remains unchallenged. Yeah, it is one of the most staple burgers. Yeah, of all time. Yeah, like I said, other burgers are available, but yeah, you get home, you bust open that lovely packaging. Yeah. And there is a single pate with a dead bun and some lettuce chucked on the top. That is how I feel about Naby Keita. Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. You eat it, it fills you up. But it's not what
you
ordered. So why do we sit here as Liverpool fans, right, and try and accept mediocrity? That's not what we ordered. We ordered an all-action box-to-box midfielder that gets the ball from back to front, but also scores goals. Yeah. We haven't got that.
Doesn't do any of those things.
So send it back. Yeah, send it back.
Drive back. Make them come pick it up.
That's what I'm saying. Phone the delivery company and make them come and pick up their shit. That's the bottom line. Like, 100%. Come on, man.
No, I couldn't agree more, mate. Like you say, you know, at the very beginning of last season, you know, we keep going back to it, but we were right. It was Chamberlain versus Keita. One stays, one goes. We've been saying that for pretty much a year now. But you could arguably say both of them should probably go, because if we weren't so short in midfield, I think Keita would be looked to move on. But I think he's at that age profile where, you know, he's valued by the club because of his age, because of what we paid for him. You know, he's in that middle bracket of, he's not in his 30s like Hendo and Thiago, but he's not in his teens and his low 20s like Carvalho, Elliott and Jones. He's kind of in that little mold all by himself in that position. So he's probably going to be in and around the club for quite some time. Where I do agree though is, you know, we do need to dip into the market in that position. You know, I'd much rather talk about this guy on the screen. What a great looking man he is, but I'm taking Divoc's number. But yeah, you are right. Whether or not we strengthen in this window again, because we were linked with Tchouaméni, weren't we? Who went to Real Madrid. I think we were probably a little bit priced out of that one potentially with spending quite so much on Nunez. But again, we've said the same thing. You know, if Chamberlain goes out for 10, Mane goes out for 35, 40, and Minamino's being linked with 17, that's pretty much the Nunez fee done. So what is our net summer budget? Because at the minute, if those 3 go out, we're back to spending £0 again. So, you know, Liverpool as having such a successful season, Champions League bonus money, Premier League money. You know, I know it's not a great deal for winning the domestic cups, but with success breathes money within sponsors. They have to pay you bonuses. They have to pay you more money. So you know, at some point, Liverpool are going to have a negative net spend summer, you know, like we did with the Fabinho, the Alisson, the Van Dijk year. You know, at some point you need to go again. And it's something that you keep mentioning, mate. You keep mentioning Liverpool 2.0. Well, you know, at some point you do need to dip into the market. And, you know, Liverpool are sometimes criticised as saying, oh, you know, they spend more money than you think they do. You know, all this, that Klopp's a great manager. But again, if you look, I know everybody says net spend, how much can you look into it? But as a business, net spend is everything. You know, if you're getting the same success as a company that's losing 100 million a year and you're making profit but getting the same result, who's doing it right? So I think you look at the midfield options, and I agree with you. Whether or not we go big, you know, we've mentioned Bellingham, etc. That's going to be the 70, the 80 million mark. I don't know, but yeah, I think we're going to get through some of the options. So, is there anybody you'd like to speak about to kick us off, or
let's go Bellingham. Let's go Bellingham.
Let's go straight in, yeah.
Yeah, let's go straight in. Let's go with the big boy. So look, Jude Bellingham. Look, we know what this kid brings, and ultimately he's, what is he, 19? Yeah, so he's 19. We know the rumored amount it's going to take to potentially prize him away from Dortmund. The rumor mill has been circulating on this kid with Liverpool for the last year, 18 months. You know, we've made our interest known. This here is our Jordan Henderson replacement. This is the Henderson replacement. Now, I know, and some people will sit here. I know that some people are in the Declan Rice camp. Okay, no names, but this kid gives you 15 years in a Liverpool shirt.
Yeah, it's fair.
It's 15 years. Now, look, I'm not. Let's say he might not stay for all of that, but if he does stay, if he signs for Liverpool and he stays to the end of his career, it's 15 years he gives you in a Liverpool shirt. Yeah, at the very highest level. If Milner's career is anything to go by, if he does 15 years, takes him to 34. Yeah, that is chump change for a club the size of Liverpool. It's chump change. £80 million. Put aside the wages, but even if you factor wages into that, that's chump change across 15 years. It's chump change. We should be all over this. Yeah, we've heard the potential links. You know, the kid's favorite player is Steven Gerrard. You know, he loves Stevie, but we've been there before with the whole Dele Alli saga. You know, but we won't bring that up ever again. But for me it just fits. For me it fits. Yeah, the relationship he's got with Trent as well. You know, for me it just fits, and he's the man I want to see in a Liverpool shirt going forward. 80 million. Do you know what? It's not even 80 million pounds. It's 80 million euros. 80 million euros, which is something like 60 odd million pounds.
Yeah.
That's cheap. That's dirt cheap. For 15 years worth of service.
Like you say, if you divide it by 15 years and he gives you what you want from him for those 15 years, then it's a no-brainer. It's just, I don't know. I just feel, don't kill me, but I just feel there's a little bit of an overhype slightly on Bellingham at the moment. I've watched him. Yes, England are terrible, but I've watched him against Hungary twice, and he's been pretty poor. Not just within the team, but individually. You know, he's just not looked anywhere near the player that's been hyped up, in my opinion. And yes, I don't watch German football. He might be absolutely annihilating the German league. But yeah, he's 18 and spending 80 odd million euros on an 18-year-old is risky. I get the 15-year thing. I totally hear you on that, 100%. You know, if you divide it, it's barely anything per season for what you would hope would become a world-class midfielder. But I just feel like you say with the Dele Alli thing, you know, look at Marcus Rashford. You know, these players that have burst on the scene in their teenage years have suddenly not quite hit the heights that you'd expect them to go on to in those prime years, and they've very much declined. So there are other midfield targets. There are other midfield players that are maybe in the more of the the age bracket that Liverpool look to spend that kind of cash on. You know, you look at the teenagers that they have brought in. You know, they're very modest fees because it's high risk because they've not. You know, you're buying potential. You know, I get NUNEZ is young, but he's 22, 23. He's had a fantastic season. It's slightly different for strikers because you can look at the goals, etc. But I just think with midfielders, you know, you expect a little bit more. You know, will he fill out? He's 6'1". He's still quite slim. He's great with the ball. You know, he's got a good eye for a pass. But I just think, you know, you look at Elliott, you look at Carvalho. You know, similar age brackets. They're 5 million. They're £7 million. Because if it goes wrong, it's not the end of the world. So, you know, we spent 60 on Keita, and that was completely backfired. So, you know, Bellingham could be the total opposite of that. But for me, you mentioned someone like Declan Rice, and for me, he's the one. I know he'd probably be twice the money, but I think that's someone that's more in Liverpool's age bracket if they're going to be spending that kind of cash.
So before we dip into the Declan Rice thing, because I get it, I understand it, you know, and I hear your point on it. But let's just stick with Bellingham for a second.
Yeah.
If we were to buy him, and he was to flop, yeah, we're going to see a return on that investment.
Yeah,
we're going to see a return on that investment. The age bracket alone, you said it yourself, with the whole reason why we keep on re-signing players to contracts. Look how long we kept Divock stringing on in a contract for. Yeah. Look how, you know, Nat Phillips. There's talk that Nat Phillips is going to go back out on loan again and sign another long-term deal with the club.
Right.
Yeah. Nico Williams. How long have we kept him going? You know, Shea Ojo. Ben Woodburn.
Yeah.
The list goes on. Of these players which we recontract, because we want to see return on investment. Unfortunately, that's the business model. That is the business model. And when we're looking at the business model and we're looking at Jude Bellingham, that there to me is purely based on the business model. Put aside his on-field attributes or his on-field woes, he fits. He fits the mold. Yeah. Now, if we do bring Declan Rice into that picture, okay. So we'll throw up Declan again. At the moment, top class operator in the Premier League. Yeah, playing some serious football. Obviously, about to assume the captaincy at West Ham. Mark Noble's retired, so we would assume that he's a successor.
Yeah.
But I can't get away from the fact that he's Chelsea through and through. Now, I take on board some of what you've said in the past about, but look at where Chelsea are at and look at where we're at. But there's nothing beats having a point to prove. Yeah. We look what Cesc Fabregas did when he left Arsenal to go back to Barcelona. He had a point to prove.
Yeah.
He wanted to go back and prove that he could cut it. They let him go at 16. Off to London you go. He tore it up in London and was like, right, I'm going back. And I'm not saying that Cesc flopped when he went back to Barcelona, but it wasn't the thing of dreams. It wasn't what he thought it would be. So he then ultimately ended up back in London again. And when he came back to the Premier League, he tore it up again.
100%.
So I don't see Declan Rice not wanting to go back to Chelsea. He's friends with Mason Mount. He's friends with Reece James, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, basically all the Chelsea brigade that are now starting to make it through.
Yeah,
they're all pals. They all came up together. Yeah, so they're going to be in his ear going, "Come on, mate, come back home. You know, we'll get the old gang together, won't we? It'll be swell." Do you know what I mean? And sometimes players' heads can be turned on that shit. That's my only block on that.
No, that's a completely fair point. But like you say, it's not always what you expect it when you return. You know, sometimes they say never go back, don't they?
100% never go back.
But, you know, you look at Lukaku. I know a slightly different situation, but come back with a point to prove, and he's going to be running back to Italy with his tail between his legs, isn't he? Glenn Johnson was another one. He was at Chelsea. They sacked him off. They tried to buy him back, and Liverpool. He decided to go to Liverpool and try something different. So
made the right.
I 100% take your points. I think they're all really, really good points to make. You know, he's He's a London lad. He's been with the Chelsea setup and the youth team. He knows half the players there, and it's the easy option, isn't it? You haven't really got to move house or anything like that. But I look at Declan Rice. You know, he changed his nationality from Ireland to England because he realised he was better than he thought he was going to be. And if I'm Declan Rice from a footballing point of view, I look at last season and I think, okay, Chelsea have just lost Rudiger. They've lost Christensen. Lukaku's off. They've not really got a striker. The midfield is Kante and Jorginho, who are both getting on and both past their best. Their best defender is Thiago Silva, who's 38 now. And their captain's Azpilicueta, who's again way past his best. I look at Liverpool and I think, bloody hell, they've just got to the 3 finals out of 3. They came second in the league. They've got the best defender in the world. They've got the best goalie in the world. They've got the best front 5 on the planet. They've got Fabinho. They've got Thiago. I could slot quite easily into that midfield, and I could win the Premier League this season coming. I could win the Champions League this season coming. And yes, I know Chelsea won the Champions League a lot more recently than we did, but I look at that Chelsea squad going into next season. There's a lot of surgery that needs to happen. I don't know if they've got, a high 80, 90 million pound mark to spend on one player. And I'm not even sure that the midfield is the immediate concern for them. They've just lost Christensen and Thiago Silva, and they've not really got a goal scorer. So for me, I think they've got work to do. So yeah, I get your point. I just think that Declan Rice, he wants to win trophies. He's going to get paid probably similar amount from Liverpool or Chelsea. Chelsea maybe slightly more cash, but I just think if you're, what is your aim here? Yes, you can have millions and millions and millions of pounds in the bank, but you can also have a couple of million less and still get everything you wanted and go and win some trophies and have a legacy. Because if he was to leave West Ham for Chelsea, I think there'd be a few murmurs. He's joined a London rival. Chelsea aren't even really challenging for the big trophies. But I think if he went to Liverpool and this Liverpool team under this manager, I don't think many West Ham fans would blame him, really.
I think he's got 3 options here. Yeah, he's got 3 options. He's got head, and in he's got head, which is Liverpool. Yeah. The head decision is Liverpool. Yeah. The here and now, you're going to go in that midfield. You're going to boss it. Yeah. You're in. Let's be fair. You're in. Yeah. The heart decision is Chelsea. Back with the old gang. Playing with my mates. Yeah. Earning some decent dough. Yeah. We got and look, Martin apprentice, but they got a top drawer manager. Let's not belittle. Tuchel, yeah. They got a top drawer manager. Yeah. Chelsea will have to sell the project to him. Yeah. They'll have to sell the project.
Who else you bringing in?
Who else you bringing in? Right. Or am I going to come here and it's all going to disintegrate around me? Yeah. He'll be having little chats with Mason while they're away on England duty, or they're out and about on the town, whatever they're doing. He'll be having little chats. Mason will be telling him exactly what's going on, getting in his ear. Yeah, right, 100%.
Yeah.
The other decision, and this is what I would do if I was him. He's got a year left on his contract. He's young. He's only going to get better. Yeah, you're about to become the captain of West Ham Football Club. Yeah, sign a 2-year deal. Sign a 3-year deal. Sign a 3-year deal. Why wouldn't you sign a 3-year deal? Yeah, sign a 3-year deal, right? But you want a clause in that. You want a clause in there. You want a clause, a buyout clause. Yeah, that if a team comes in, right, and you don't want to do a Harry Kane and shake a fucking hand and wiggle a fucking finger. You want it written in there. Yeah, you don't want a Daniel Levy handshake. you want it written in your contract that says if a Champions League team comes in and wants to sign me at that figure, if it's £100 million, let it be £100 million. Yeah, I back myself to be £100 million player. Yeah, right. And they're gonna pay £100 million for me. Then you set me free and you let me go. That is what I would do personally. If I was him, I'd sign another deal at West Ham. Yeah, because that allows you to see, let's say you sign a 3-year deal. Yeah, that puts you on 4 years with the club. Because you've got a year left to go on your deal. At the end of that, you might sign a 3-year deal. Yeah. right? So let's say you sign a 3-year deal. You've got 3 years left. In 2 years, you can go. A lot can happen. Chelsea could be in a very different place in 2 years' time. Yeah,
and I think that's
Liverpool could
it.
be in a different place in 2 years' time. You're a big fish at West Ham. You're the club captain.
Mm.
West Ham are in Europe Stadium. They're signing players. You know, mate, you never know. You never know. 2 years' time, West Ham might be a Champions League football club.
Yeah,
and you ain't got to go nowhere. So,
I mean,
what you want.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it as he's got a year left on his deal. We've seen a lot from player power now that the players like to run their contract all the way down, and then it's a bidding war of signing on fee.
Factor. That's the LeBron factor.
Yeah, 100%. It's the Bosman rule, isn't it? The wages can be offered at you because there's no fee involved for the club to club, so they've got all that extra money to give to you and your agent. I look at West Ham last season, like you say, European spot, not quite what they wanted in terms of Conference League, but they were only 18 points behind Chelsea. You know, that's not a lot, really. You know, you look at how far behind they were, Liverpool, you know, sort of 35 points behind them or so. That's massive. That's so far away, you know. So, and, you know, you say about moving this summer, you know, you look at Chelsea, there's a lot of uncertainty still. Nobody really knows who this new owner is. Nobody really knows how much money he's going to put into the club because, you know, Stan Kroenke at Arsenal is one of the richest men on the planet, but he's not really put anything in. He's too busy with his LA Rams. The guy that's bought Chelsea has got an American sports team franchise as well. So, you know, you don't really know. You look at Liverpool and you mention selling the project and the model, which I think is a really good point. You know, Darwin Nunez, he's walked in, he's seen all these trophies. He already gets the kind of feel of the club. You know, the manager is one of their managers that you want to play for. And you know that Jurgen Klopp is there until he decides he doesn't want to be there anymore. You know, and you look at Chelsea and you think, if Chelsea are 9th in December, Tuchel could be sacked. I'm not saying it's going to be the Roman Abramovich factor, but nobody knows.
I was going to say. But this is why if I'm him, I'm signing another deal. I'm signing another deal with West Ham because a lot can change.
Yeah,
in 2 years' time. Look, West Ham are active in the market. Yeah, and as much as you turned your nose up, yeah, Jared Bowen is doing bits. Yeah.
I was wrong about that one.
Another one I was right about. I'll leave that with you. But he's doing bits. Bits, yeah? So Jared Bowen's doing bits. You know, they're probably nails on to sign Jesse Lingard on a free. Yeah. They've got to keep hold of Souček, right? Keep hold of Souček. You know, they could potentially go out and sign a couple more players. And that might get them top 4. Yeah, that might get them top 4. They're in a battle for top 4 with Arsenal, Spurs, and West Ham. They're in a battle for top 4.
Yeah, I mean they're only 15 points off it, and you know I know they've got Conference League this year, but I think if they weren't in the Europa League last year, you know Arsenal didn't have any European football, and they were only 13 points behind them. So if they weren't in Europe, I think they'd have been right in the race because Arsenal took it down to the last day, didn't they?
They were the season before. They were right in the mix the season before.
They were, yeah.
So
totally
this
agree.
is what I'm saying. So things are looking up quite nicely at West Ham. There's no risk to him for signing a 2-year extension. Do you know what, boys? I give you a 2-year extension with a get out in year 2. Yeah, with a get out in year 2, right? Nothing stopping him doing that. So he's got options. This is just what I just think he's clever. Yeah, he's not got no outside influences. His agents and stuff. It's all family. He keeps everything in the family. So he's a closed book. You just don't know what way this could go. Right. Let's move it on to the next one.
Sure. Who are you feeling?
Let's get the Gavi one out of the way. This is going to be short and sweet. Right, this kid is unreal. We've been linked with him for the last 2 sodding seasons. Yeah, he's going to sign a new deal at Barcelona. He's going to sign a new deal.
Just the £1 billion buyout clause, by the way.
Yeah, these players, a lot of these players that come through La Masia, they don't really leave there, especially these types. Yeah, he's going to sign a new deal, right? The £1 billion buyout clause, whatever they want to do, he's signing a new deal. He's played practically every game of last season. This is whatever you want. Yeah, Liverpool fans, let's just get it out of our system. Yeah. Let's move on. next.
It's not happening, is it? Like you say, what is he, 17? He's playing for his boyhood club.
Yeah.
You know, Barcelona have had a bit of a tough time, which has probably given them the chance to come through because they've had to rely on the youth players because they've not been able to sign loads and loads of players in every position that they want to. But yeah, I think this one is probably a no. If Barcelona are still struggling behind Madrid, you know, in 3-4 years' time, then you know we'll see where he is. But now I think his career will grow as Barcelona, you know, climb their way back up the mountain. To be honest.
Exactly, 100%. They've got the Spotify money now as well.
Yeah,
they're a little bit active in the market also. Yeah, he's staying put. Next,
who else we got? We got this guy.
Yeah, again, I think it's pretty clear cut with this man as well. I think the ship sailed. It
was last summer, wasn't it?
It was last summer. If we were going to go and get the kid, it was when Ginny walked out the door. Yeah, this is when we were going to go and get the kid. You know, we were heavily linked in that summer. You know, a good friend of mine, I can't say too much, but there was movement at Leicester. You know, his agent was in and out of Leicester all last summer. In and out all last summer. Yeah. And we got word of it obviously at the Red Sea pod for a pal of ours. So that would have been the time. Because and I think that Tielemans, you know, his agent and him, they're not stupid. They kind of foresaw what could potentially be coming this season with Leicester.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they faltered, the Brendan Rodgers effect. Yeah. That little bounce that he has, and then it all goes to shit. Yeah. It's the same, it's the same thing that happened to us, same thing, you know, that we're seeing now with Leicester. Yeah. So they can't, and you know, yes, they've been a little bit unlucky with injuries, but that's 2 seasons on the bounce. Yeah. It is what it is, but I think this kid's probably nailed on to go Arsenal.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, that it's gone from one season linked with Liverpool, and then the following summer, you know, no disrespect, but a little bit of it, is now being linked with a team that's not even in the Champions League to a team that was, you know, almost winning it. So I don't know. I still quite like him. He still plays well for Belgium. He scores goals. You know, yes, we've got an incredible front five, but our goal record from midfield is pretty shocking. And I'm not saying that we necessarily rely on them or even play in that kind of way. You know, our midfielders are used in a slightly different way: deep line playmakers, ball winning midfielders, box to box. But you know, if we want to go that extra 10% and do a quadruple, then you know, 6 goals in 32 Premier League games is a pretty decent return for a centre midfielder, especially like you say, a club that realistically struggled for a top half finish. Let's be honest, this season, you know, they finished a bit stronger, but you know, there were some dark times, and I know they got a win against Liverpool, but you know, they were in serious trouble for quite some time. So I do like the kid still. He's 25. He's in that kind of age where, you know, you're right. It's that kind of point where if he doesn't move, if he starts hitting the 27 and 28 mark and he's still there, there's going to be players that are as good as him, if not better, 3 or 4 years younger, that these top clubs are going to see as a better investment. So I agree. I think the time is now. Whether or not Liverpool still see him at that pedestal of that world-class bracket, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think he may be looking for a move this summer, but it depends what's Liverpool's budget, who's available, because we do need a midfielder, and I think this one could be done, I think, for 30 odd mil. Yeah, go on.
Okay, yeah. and I knew you were going there with that, with the fee, yeah?
Oh yeah.
We've just passed up on Yves Bissouma for £25 million. Similar type players. Yes, Yves probably more of a combative midfielder, but he gets the ball from back to front very quickly. Tielemans does the same, gets the ball from back to front very quickly. Similar style midfielders. I think the reason why we haven't gone in for him, or the reason why we didn't go in for Yves Bissouma, because Klopp shows loyalty to the players that he's already got. Yeah. We didn't go for this kid last season because we had Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Yeah.
We didn't go. That's the reason. That's the reason why. It hasn't really worked out for Ox, and we're going to come on to departures also, and talk a little bit about departures. So it hasn't really worked out for Ox, but we said it before. It's either Naby or Ox at the start of this season. Naby's just done enough, really, to kind of scrape through, isn't he? He's just done enough. Yeah, like he always just enough to just go. Yeah, do you know what? Yeah, I've done my bit. Yeah,
no, you're right.
I think this is why this potentially hasn't happened. Also, Naby's agent is also, I think he's got the same agent as, is it Patterson Daka or one of the other Leicester boys? They've got the same agent.
Right.
Yeah. They've got the same agent. So there was rumours of a potential swap plus cash deal for Naby going that way, and Tielemans probably coming our way. But again, I think that ship sailed from that perspective. I would like to just, move on.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. We will move on, but I think, you look at the Tchouaméni deal at Madrid, that was 80 mil. That was probably too much. You look at the Bissouma deal at 25. I think Liverpool may be looking slightly better quality and probably prepared to pay probably double that for a midfielder. So I think we're probably in the kind of 50 million mark for a midfielder if we are going to add one this summer. So I think Tielemans would be slightly south of that if we were to get him over the line. But yeah, we're going to speak about some other options. And yeah, as you say, if we can raise a bit more money in sales, then we can look maybe slightly higher up the list.
Right, the PSV kid. Before we move on to departures,
good idea.
Yeah, this one's another one. We've been linked,
and
then
we're
we're
not
not
linked. Clubs.
Yeah, but do you know what? I think this might be the agent. I think this is the agent talking it up a little bit.
Yeah,
I really do. I think this is the agent putting him in a shop window.
I do.
Yeah, so I'd like to politely move on. Calvin Phillips.
I mean, I'll just quickly speak about him just because I haven't had a chance yet.
Yeah, go on.
6'1", Ivory
Yeah.
Coast, played for Toulouse in the French league, moved to PSV, who aren't really dominating Dutch football right now. Feyenoord have made the Conference League final. Ajax have very much sailed the ship for league wins in the Champions League for the Netherlands. But yeah, he's at that again. He's at that kind of 24, 25 age bracket. It reminds me a little bit of the Zakaria one. Just someone just kind of trying to flog a bit of a dead horse in a way. Just like he's not really well class, but he's at a club that
going to Juve, didn't he? Yeah,
yeah, and he's at a club that are prepared to sell. He's available. He's a defensive midfielder, and for me, defensive midfield is probably the one position we don't need. We've got Fabinho in there. Henderson can fill in because it's less running. Even Milner has done a job in there at times. I think realistically, we're looking at Thiago and Henderson as being the two that need rotation the most. I think Fabinho, other than a significant injury or a suspension, is going to play, a lot of games next year. So yeah, I agree with you. I think this one is probably a non-starter as well.
Big shout out to you, Damien Smart. Ericsson, that just worries me, man. That worries me, man. That worries me. And the other reason why as well is we've got Thiago.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't fit for me. Ericsson's a quality player. He's come back. He's proven himself. He's done very well in the Brentford team. He's a world-class operator. You can see already. Yeah. Comes back, first international game back, bags as well. Yeah. But I think there's only two places Ericsson's going to end up going. It's either Spurs, or it's Manchester United. It's either one of those two places, personally.
But then you say he's similar to Thiago. Is that not the perfect option then to rotate those two? Because Thiago plays 25 games a season. We know that. Liverpool were involved in 63 odd matches last season. Thiago probably played in half of them, if we're realistic. If you include the Cup, the Champions League. Could Ericsson play the other half, and then you've 100% of the time got a creative midfielder in that three?
But what happens to Curtis Jones? As much as we sit here, and Curtis isn't a finished article at the moment.
No.
Yeah. And I think Curtis Jones is too old now for a loan. I think he's too old for a loan now. Yeah. So he needs games now. He needs games. And I'm not a huge Curtis Jones lover because I feel like he tries to dictate play and he doesn't know how to dictate play. He doesn't know how to do that. Yeah. And I feel like he tries to slow it down, speed it up and dictate the game. But at the highest level, you can do that in the League Cup. Yeah. You can do that against Brentford. He did it against Brentford. Bossed the whole game against Brentford and slapped a goal as well. Yeah. Bossed the whole game. Yeah. You can do that in them games. But at the highest level, can you be a technician at the highest level? Champions League, against Manchester City, against Chelsea when it's tight, yeah? He can't do that yet. So
No.
this season's going to be a crucial season for Curtis. But I feel like if you brought someone like Ericsson in, that's telling Curtis Jones, yo, bounce. It's time for you
Yeah,
to bounce.
I agree with you. And I had a little look at England under 21s this week. With Curtis Jones is very much a major part of their midfield. And yeah, you're right. You know, if you can't dictate a game at home to Slovenia under 21s, you're not really going to be getting game time over Thiago in Liverpool's midfield, are you? So I think this is a bit of a make or break season for Jones, because I know we got a few injuries here and there, but you know, Elliott was basically out for the season. Jones was definitely behind him at the start of the season, only really started getting game time once Elliott got injured. And even then, towards the end of the season, we didn't see a lot of him. You know, it was very much the three with Keita and Milner filling in. So if Jones doesn't feature much this season, and you know, if we don't bring a midfielder in this year, we're certainly going to bring one in next year. Yeah, I think it could be the end of the road, which is a shame because he's a Scouser. You know, he's a great lad. He's shown moments of absolute brilliance and quality. You know, goals and turns and passes. But you're right, he is still very raw. He still does make very basic errors at times, and he can go missing in the big games. So yeah, at some point, I think we'll find out where Klopp kind of ranks him, because if he gives him minutes this year, you know, we went to the first game of the season just gone, and Elliott started, and we were like, oh my word, you know, that kind of shows the belief that, you know, throughout the whole pre-season, Klopp's obviously looked at Harvey and gone, wow, this guy deserves to play.
And don't forget, you got to add Carvalho to that.
And
he ain't coming to hug bench. He ain't coming to hug bench. He
would have played in the Prem for Fulham, so he would have wanted some guarantees that he's getting some minutes in the Premier League.
He ain't coming to hug bench.
No.
So
yeah,
Curtis
I think we'll find out between those three. I think, like you say, I don't think all three of them are going to become first team regulars next season. You know, maybe all eventually, but yeah, I don't see all three of them having major impacts and big game time within the same season at the moment. I think like you say, Curtis Jones is the oldest of the three. He should really be at the top of the pecking order between those three. But yeah, if he doesn't get ahead of Milner, who's 37, you know, if he's not getting ahead of Naby Keita, who's bang average, then I think, yeah, we might get to the point where he has a little cheeky move to Villa or something like that.
Where in the, I want to just challenge this. Where in that three, if we go 4-2-3-1, are you playing him? I don't see him in the three and behind the striker. A lot of people keep comparing Curtis to a potential Coutinho type.
No, he's not quite there, is he?
He's not quite there. But yeah, give me your suggestions. Right, before we start to close down the show, let's just quickly talk about Kevin Phillips. And then quickly skirt over the departures.
Cool.
This is the one for me. It's affordable. The only issue with this is the current injury record.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because the problem in our midfield is not ability, it's availability.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It's not an ability issue. We have Thiago, for Christ's sake. It's not an ability issue.
No.
It's an availability issue.
Yes.
So is this an upgrade on availability? No. I think personally it's Naby Keita 2.0. We buy the kid, and he hugs bench because of injuries like Naby's done. And then we see glimpses, and then we're like, yeah, here he is. And then it's like,
Yeah, I mean, he made a mistake tonight, didn't he, for one of the Hungary goals? But I mean, he's missed about, I think he's missed 27 Premier League games in Leeds 2 seasons in the Prem, which
that's a lot of games.
That's a lot of games. You know, that's a hell of a lot of games. And I know
a lot of games.
You know, one of them was the major injury this year. I know he was missing for a large chunk of the season, but 29 appearances in the first season and 20 in the second. Yes, Leeds are a different team without him, but you know, we're talking about joining one of the best teams on the planet. You know, Liverpool, Madrid, City. You know, these three are definitely top of the tree right now. I don't, like you say, availability, no, but is he even of the ability that we're looking for?
Yeah, I think he's got it. I think his energy is energy alone is what we need. That determination, that grit, that steel. Yeah, he's got that in abundance. Yeah, That's what we need. We need something like, we need that. We're missing that. And he, for me, does what Ox should be doing. That's what Ox should be doing. What he does. Yeah. We think about when Ox first came in. The only difference is Ox has an eye for a goal. This kid ain't got an eye for a goal. Yeah.
Agree.
Whereas Ox had an eye for a goal. Yeah. But ultimately, put Ox's goal scoring prowess to one side. They're like for like in terms of players, with the agility, the pace, the power, the aggression, the breaking up play, just running through players. That's what he does. So that, Klopp spoke about it, the dynamism. Yeah. Ox has got that in abundance, but can't stay fit. Yeah.
Yeah.
This kid's got it in abundance, but can't stay fit.
Struggling. Yeah.
So it's an availability issue. I would love to have him. I put it on my Twitter. I would love to have him in. Yeah. But we've got to fix the availability issue. And Klopp's done it before. There was question marks over Konate's availability. And look, he's been mustered. There's huge question marks on Joel Matip. This season we seem to have twigged it. He's been mustered. So maybe we can twig it, but it's just that it represents a bit of a risk for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you're right. I think in terms of what Liverpool need to do, we've brought in a couple of South Americans, but we need to keep an English quota at some point of quality, and not just for rules, but you look at how important Henderson and Milner are in this squad in terms of training and the ethos that is involved with the English game. The hardcore old school English game. You train hard, you play hard. So yeah, we've mentioned in there Phillips, Bellingham, and Rice. We are more than likely going to be bringing in an English player, I would suggest, in this position. So I would probably put those three at the top, in my opinion, in terms of that list we've gone through. And it's just a case of which one materializes, because I think Phillips would probably be the cheapest of the three in terms of a fee. If Leeds are again right down the bottom next year, Rafinha is being linked with a few different clubs. He could be available potentially from a relegated team with a relegation clause, which Liverpool have done before. With Robertson, etc. at Hull, Wijnaldum at Newcastle, Shaqiri at Stoke, absolutely. So that could be quite a realistic one. I'll keep a close eye on him next season. But yeah, you're right. If we look at Rice potentially going on a free next year, Bellingham I don't see moving this year because Dortmund tend to sell one per season. Sancho, Haaland. I think Bellingham is probably on one for next year, which I think if we deep down and honest, we probably know that's the case with him as well. So yeah, whether or not we can lean on the others and pray the other ones stay fit, but there's not really that many good quality world-class options this summer in midfield for me at this moment in time. So Klopp likes to wait. We identified Van Dijk. We had to wait 6 months. We got our man. So if he really, really wants Bellingham and it's 2023, if he really, really wants Rice, I think he might try and kind of limp through with what we have.
Bro, could you imagine? Yeah, let's just visualize this.
Yeah,
Bellingham in 2023 and Rice on a free. Are you freaking mad?
I mean, that's like you say. You look at Madrid.
That's the thing of dreams, mate.
Madrid are doing exactly that, aren't they? They're transitioning from Modric, Kroos, Casemiro to Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Valverde. It's happening before our eyes. The best midfield in football history. We can't really argue it, to be honest. The trophies that they have won.
I could.
It's up there.
Barcelona's midfield was probably the best midfield.
Busquets, Busquets, Iniesta, Xavi wasn't bad, but
that was levels.
Champions League wins.
Champions League wins, yes. Champions League wins, yes. But the best midfield in history is Busquets, Xavi, and Iniesta all day.
It's a good debate, but yeah, they're definitely the two best ones, aren't they?
That's a show right there, boy.
So what we've said, haven't we? We've said about Liverpool 2.0. We've said about transitioning the front three. We looked at the Mane, the Salah, the Firmino. Two of those three are now not in the team. Firmino is now bottom choice forward. Minamino and Origi leave. Firmino's at the bottom of that list. He is. Nunez, Diaz, Salah, and Jota are above him. Jota and Firmino sometimes change depending on form, but Firmino definitely last season was the fifth.
Does the 4-2-3-1 unlock Firmino again? It does. So I don't think he is. I just think he's another option. I don't think there's any. like I've always said to you, there's different tools for
Yeah.
different games. There's different tools for different games. You know,
Yeah.
you're going up against a team where you need 4 attackers on the pitch.
Mm.
Yeah. Out of possession, it's 4-2-3-1. In possession, it's a 4-2-4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Firmino gets into that because
Mm.
I just don't think Jota, for me, is the same level as Firmino on the ball.
No.
Yeah.
In terms of a 10, Firmino's the only real player that we have that can do that role.
Or,
So if that
Carvalho now. Yeah.
remains to be seen, but
Yeah.
you know, you say when we've played a front four before, or even the last season when we need a goal, we've not really done a 4-2-3-1. We've done a 4-2-4. We've done Diaz left, Salah right, and Jota and Bobby or Jota and Mane up front together. So we've never really actually used the 4-2-3-1 with Firmino consistently. So I don't personally see a resurgence of that formation or Bobby this season. I think he's up for free transfer next year. Nothing's been touted about him signing a new deal at all. It's silent. So I very much think he is coming to a natural free transfer end. He's been brilliant for the club, but I do feel it's going that way, and I think Darwin Nunez's arrival is underlining that.
Definitely. Right, let's quickly skirt over departures before we close. Now, obviously, we know Origi's gone through the door. Ben Woodburn's gone. Shea Ojo's gone.
Yeah,
Thank
Karius.
Christ for that. Karius is going as well.
Your favourite, mate.
It's a sad day for me, man. That's a sad day for me. Honestly, it's a sad day for me. I think we could have handled him better, but we won't get into that. Oxlade-Chamberlain. He's a goner. He's a goner. Come on, it's
the lesser spotted ox. Where's he been for the last 3-4 months of the season? He featured slightly before Christmas.
I think the writing's on the wall for him, though, isn't it? The writing's on the wall. He's got to look at that as a big hint to say, like, look, like it's done. Like, it's done, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's Adam Lallana all over again. He's got the quality. He gives us something different than what we had at the time in that position when they were there. You mentioned it. You were spot on. Oxlade-Chamberlain is the best goal scoring midfielder at the club. In terms of if he played every game and they all did, he would score the most goals. But again, it's availability, and every time he gets on a run, not just this season, for his whole Liverpool career, injury, and it's
for his whole career in general.
And the problem is with this Liverpool team, it's like a steam train. It's not going to wait for you. You know, it will change. It will adapt the way it plays. It will change the way it wins matches with or without you. And you know, when you do lose your place and you become 4th choice, 5th choice, 6th choice, you know, you're not going to get many chances, and it becomes tough because you might not play for 3 months and you get chucked in a cup game against Nottingham Forest, and you might have an off game, and the Klopp will be like, well, I just gave you your chance against a championship team and you still did nothing. So
you flunked it. Yeah,
that's another 2 months on the bench for you. It's really difficult rut to get out of. But you know, I agree. Again, he's not the player that he was when he first joined. We always hark back to it. That Roma injury killed his career, and it's horrible to say, but I think he'd do wonders at someone like Newcastle. You know, his missus is from the area. You know, World Cup coming up in December. He's got zero chance of making it because he's not even in the England squad. But you know, I think for him, you know, if I was at a club like Liverpool and they're winning trophies and I'm not even playing in the matches, what's the point? You know, I'd rather go and play some football. What is he? 27? Is he something like that? 28?
Yeah, 28.
So you know, he's got the best years of his career. Should be now. So yeah. I mean, 10 million's been touted. I'm not sure how many years he's got left on his deal, but maybe is it? Yeah, I mean, you know, for 2 years and only 10 million pounds shows you really where Liverpool value him. So, I agree with you, mate. I think it's unfortunately time up because I do actually prefer him over Keita when they're both fit and playing. I'll be honest, I do. He excites me more. I think he has more to his game. But yeah, I think his time's up, and yeah, whether we'll be having this conversation about Naby Keita in a couple of years' time, maybe we will.
I hope so. I think that's it for departures, isn't it? It's only really Ox to.
I think Minamino linked with a move, but
but
and Gomez is another one that's been linked as well.
I think Gomez stays. Because
Ramsey's linked, isn't he, at right back from Aberdeen?
This I was going to say. If we get Ramsey, that fixes the Gomez issue. We're back to 4 centre backs.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that fixes that. Yeah. And then we're good.
I think I'll just counter that just
Lukaku,
briefly.
Yeah.
If we're back to 4 centre backs, because the only minutes Gomez has really got this season has been covering for Trent at right back. So if he's only the 4th choice centre back, where does he get his minutes? Because he's going to be looking at this and thinking, God, England's centre backs, Stones, Maguire, some of the lot that have played tonight, and I'm not even getting anywhere near this because I'm not playing at club level. So I know he's not been great. It's very much the Ox situation, though, isn't it? He's chucked in against Preston. He's not played all season, and he has an off day, and he's out for 3 months. And when he does play, he's expected to be a marauding fullback, which he's not. So
I think the challenge you got, is that nobody thought that Joel Matip will have the season that Joel Matip has had. Nobody thought that. Everybody thought we're going to have another injury hit season from Joel Matip. Yeah. Boom. So Gomez, so they've gone and got Konate, and they're probably saying, right, Joe and Ibu, you're going to rotate. Yeah. And we're gonna wrap Joel in cotton wool.
Yeah. Same for the big ones.
And same for the big ones, or he's gonna play the role that you're playing, Joel. You're playing Joe. That's the role that Joel's gonna play. But it's role reversal. Joel surprised us all. He surprised us all.
Superb season from him.
Superb season. My man scored. He got his goal.
Brilliant.
You know, and it's funny. He's running. He's weaving through midfields. Also, he's had the best season of his life. So I think that's what caught Joe Gomez on the hop. Now, Matip has got a year left on his contract, 2 years left on the contract.
I think a couple. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago he signed a new one.
Yeah, 1 or 2 years left on the contract, right?
Yeah.
Nat Phillips does another loan at Bournemouth. Yeah.
I hope we can cash in, to be honest.
Is Nat Phillips the Joel Matip replacement?
Not for me.
Give the man a bit of credit, because if you got Joe Gomez back to anything half of what he was, you bring a Nat Phillips in. Nat Phillips becomes 4th choice. Joe Gomez alternates between him and Ibu. Ibu takes the shirt, of course he does. He's a better centre back, yeah. Right, Ibu and Van Dijk, you're good to rock and roll. I just think there's options in the centre back positions, yeah. So if I was Joe, I would just sit tight. This World Cup, mate, you're young. You could play another World Cup. Yeah, you need to sort out. You need to recover fully from that injury, because that injury was nasty. Yeah,
it was. But then, like you say, the best way to recover from it is game time. And if I'm back up, right back, and 4th choice centre back, I'm leaving. That's not good enough for me. And you mentioned
where does he go? Where does he go?
Aston Villa is a no-brainer for me.
Who's he getting in ahead of at Villa?
Tyrone Mings.
I don't think he does, because of the availability issue. The availability. He doesn't get ahead.
We don't know, do we? Because he's never been given a chance of availability yet. He's been available. He's not been injured. He's been there.
But that's what I'm saying. The injury is the worry. That's the worry.
It's a worry, yeah.
If he gets another one of them, his career done. If he gets another one of them, it's over. It's done. Yeah, because that knee has been rebuilt. It's done.
And I don't think, even if he waited out, you mentioned Konate, but Van Dijk and Matip, similar kind of age, 30, 31. In 3 years' time, they're 33, 34. They're going to be probably coming to the end of their career. Gomez is going to be prime age. I don't think he goes in. I think we go in the market and get a centre back instead.
I just think he needs to accept. I think Joe needs to accept that he's going to be a rotation player now. If you want to prolong your career, you want to win trophies. Yeah, at the end of your career, you want to sit there and go, I've won this, and this. And I played in that season. I played 25 games. There's no disappointment in that. Playing 25 games and potentially winning 2, 3, 4 trophies, and you've played 25 games. You might play a handful of Champions League games. You might play a handful of Cup games, and you play a handful of Premier League games. That's football. Yeah. Or instead, you go to Villa, where you're relied upon to play week in, week out, yeah, every single game, right? And you're fighting to displace Tyrone Mings, who arguably is fighting for a place in the England squad, because he is in and around the England squad.
Somehow.
Yeah, don't freaking know how, but he's in and around the England squad. Yeah, that's a bigger challenge for me. And if he knows his body, right, he's going to just stick it out at Liverpool Football Club. Yeah, because as long as you're playing 25-ish games a season, right, they ain't going to oust you. they'll bring other players in, yes, to pick up the other minutes. Konate, Van Dijk, Matip, Nat Phillips is there as well. If the loan thing doesn't happen, there's players there that are going to pick up those other minutes. Joe will be better just to stay his ass put.
I mean, he's played 15 Premier League games in the last 2 seasons, and I get he can play in the cups and stuff like that, but for me, yeah, I think the centre backs, we're going to be looking at Matip and Gomez as the next 2. I think Van Dijk's going to be playing for a long time.
Yeah, you're 100.
Konate even longer, and I think we bring in a third centre back as Van Dijk is transitioning out. We bring in the next best world class, best in the world defender to replace him long term, and a little bit of an overlap. But yeah, you're right. He's had I think the season that we've just had was his season where he's like, right, just see how the body goes. But I think realistically, he should be looking. If we're here in 12 months' time and he's played 7 games in the Prem, maybe less, if we don't, there's no guarantee we get to both cup finals again. We might get knocked out in the first round. So where does his minutes come from?
Okay, so he plays 7 games in the Prem.
If that.
Let's base it on what we got. Let's say he plays 7 games in the Prem. Yeah. Let's say he plays across both cups. He picks up 5 games each. That's
you're getting pretty far in then if you're getting 5 games each.
Come on. We're Liverpool Football Club. Let's say he gets 5 games in each cup competition.
But what I'm saying is, once you're playing the 4th or 5th game in the cup competitions, you're hitting the quarters and the semis, so you're going to be putting your big team back in again, like we did.
Okay, cool. Let's say he gets 3 games in either of those.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's up to 15 games.
But if we bring in Ramsey, he's 8 Premier League games this year, but back.
At centre back, I'm saying.
He ain't getting 7 games at centre back in the Prem. No chance.
Why not? Why? But this is the thing. We need to rotate. Rotation has become rotation has become a fixture of why we got to where we got to.
Definitely.
Virgil van Dijk, as he gets older, he will rotate. He will have to rotate. So next year, especially in a World Cup year, there's going to be minutes. Yeah. Joe's going to get more minutes next year than he's ever going to get. This is why we're going into the market for a backup right back. Yeah. Because Klopp knows World Cup year, Trent's going World Cup. He's going World Cup. Yeah. Whether he plays a huge part in it because Gareth Southgate's tactically inept, I don't know. But he's going World Cup, right? Yeah. Van Dijk's going World Cup. Konate's going World Cup. Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
Joe Gomez ain't going World Cup, bro. Yeah, let's be. He's going as a spectator. Yeah. But we're gonna have to rotate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's gonna get 7-8 games in the Prem all day long. He's gonna get 7-8 games in the Prem next season. This is what I'm saying. Stay your ass put because you're gonna get minutes. Joel, even big boy Joel Matip tried to reach back out to Cameroon and say, "Yo, I'm ready." Yeah. Cameroon was like, "Nah, bro. Once you leave, you can leave." But I'm just trying to say that you'll know that this Winter World Cup is historic. Yeah, all these players are gonna want to play in the World Cup. Joe Gomez is gonna have minutes at Liverpool Football Club, 100%. Yeah, I think he picks up 25 games next season across all competitions. I think he gets 25 games, 20 games across all competitions, 20 games. And if we come out with a trophy and you've played 20 games, we might get 2 trophies again. Yeah, you played 20 games. That's not a bad return for an injury hit player.
Yeah, we shall see. I just think he played 21 in all comps last season. The majority of them were coming on as a sub
wing
for a right back.
Yeah,
when Trent needed a break. He didn't start that many games. A lot of the time it was we're 3-0 up in the 60th minute. Gomez comes on for Trent. And the very, very early cup games. So yeah, I mean the year before that he played 12 in all competitions. I think that's more where he's going to be at the end of next season as well.
Look, I'm happy to make a little wager. I think he has 20 games because of World Cup, and this is why I don't see him moving on. Whether he wants to or whether we want to, I don't see him moving on for that very reason. Is that we know that we need the strength in depth across the whole entire park to deal with the World Cup. This is the red herring. Winter World Cup, bam, smack in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
We could go there and four of our players could get injured. Jota picks up an injury. Van Dijk picks up an injury. Trent picks up an injury. Yeah. Who else? Who bloody Thiago picks up an injury. That season's done. Bye bye. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just think we'll keep him around. He'll play.
No, I hope you're right.
Rotate. Yeah. Right. I think that brings us to the end of the show.
I think so. No, it's I think it's definitely keep an eye on the Mane deal. I think that's going to be the next one to trickle through now. Ramsey's going to be on the horizon. I think next one now Nunez is over the line. And yeah, keep your eye on centre midfielder. Maybe we should do fortnightly transfer Tuesdays because I don't know if like you say it's June. It seems to be an all year round thing now, doesn't it? Where transfers never end, but it feels like a shorter one because the season starts early. The Community Shield is in the 30th of July because of the Winter World Cup. So lots more earlier business going through than usual.
Definitely. So guys, keep your eyes peeled. We'll be back on fortnightly shows, Transfer Tuesday. I've been Thiago's father. This has been Southern Scouser. We're over and we're out.